2015 World Championship Series Global Finals is brought to you in part by Intel, Windows 10, MasterCard, and T-Mobile.
Ladies and gentlemen, BlizzCon 2015, we could not have asked for a better final match at the WCS Global Finals. Life versus SOS. Oh my God, are you serious? Both players with a championship under their belts, SOS in 2013, Life in 2014. It is a treat to be here. I'm Dana, and this is In Control. We got TLO, we got Rotterdam. Roddy, you haven't been on the sofa in quite some time.
No.
Welcome. I got to know right away, what's your reaction to having these two players in the finals?
It's unbelievable. I really find it almost too good to be true. It's something that we always talk about, you know. Even in the round of 16, we got 3 previous champions in this tournament with Parting, you know, with SOS and with Live, and to see 2 of them here in the final, like, I really couldn't ask for much more. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, there's always that terrifying moment as a caster where you're trying to build up certain storylines, and the 2 people you've built up a lot get like knocked out in the round of 8, and you're like, uh-oh. But these 2 players, I mean, it's almost, it's like a dream final. I mean, Rogue, the underdog story, who played great, but I mean, SOS and then Life, both of whom have really, really unorthodox styles.
It's funny because this tournament we've been talking that there have been so many upsets, but now looking at the finals, Life versus SOS, 2 of the greatest players of all time made it to the finals. So I'm very happy. I mean, sadly we're not gonna get a new champion, not a new person that can live the dream.
Sadly? No, that's not sad.
That's not sad.
What a disaster.
I disagree with you, Dario.
I disagree as well.
Dario. Well, if you don't want more people to enjoy happiness,
No,
Jeff,
I want to squander that in here.
I see
Wrap your
very
arms around
top heavy, very top heavy.
Well,
What does it tell us about
some people
American
would say I am
society?
top heavy, yes.
Yeah, well, if we take a look at the brackets, I mean, this entire tournament has been full of surprises. First of all, in the top 16, no new names, pretty much except for Rogue. These are historically the absolute best, most consistent, most named players, but right away we started to see those champions fall. Of course, Maru I will come to as many times, and it will still not shock me. 3-0'd by Rogue in the first round.
Brutally, too. And Rogue would take that momentum and go all the way to the round of 4. I want to push it into the Zest corner as well. Zest, a guy that we were like, this is the best matchup of the round of 16. It should be really close. And then Innovation, who would later trip fall and make a mess of his face when he fell, by the way, too. It was really ugly when he fell. Would make Zest look like nothing at all. Like, it's just been very swingy. And I think that's pretty indicative of the stage, how big BlizzCon is, but also the times. We're transitioning to Legacy of the Void. We're closing out HOTS. And in this closure, we have the 2... I'm trying to think of the big word. I want to say sequential. Is it sequential for back-to-back champions?
Yeah, the 2 sequential champions.
Yeah, I nailed that. 2 sequential champions. And we're going to we're going to go into this new era with 2 guys fighting for potentially, you know, the argument that Life could be the best player in the HOTS era. Can we safely say that, do you think?
I mean, I still remember back when MLG had their Heart of the Swarm tournament, it had just come out. So everyone was certain that the games were going to be really wonky. I mean, this is when Stefano was going Roach Hydra still against Terran because people hadn't really figured out how to utilize the mines. And Life was the player that drew everyone's eye with his gameplay, with his counterattacks, getting a single swarm host to bait mine shots when he was going Broodlord, and to have continued that legacy. And it wasn't just that he was good at the start and good at the end. Throughout, he was on top of his game.
That legacy, you say?
Of the...
The Swarm.
Yeah, I do love that you bring that up as well, because especially back then, that very first tournament, it was a little bit similar. People did not expect Live to win that one. It was a very Terran-heavy tournament, and everybody was looking at all the Terrans, and then suddenly there was Live picking up that first championship. Then last year, you know, the announcement of Legacy of the Void, and it kind of looked like we were getting closer and closer to Legacy already. Live did it again, and now he's here again. Like, that's just...
And it's almost unbelievable. It's funny, too, because last BlizzCon, I feel like he was really underrated there as well. Like, everyone's like, yeah. Life is one of the absolute best, and a monster Zerg, but, you know, his results have been kind of falling off. Same storyline this year as well, and every time they ask him, he himself is like, yeah, haven't been doing as good. but I guess we'll just win BlizzCon. Okay, pretty
No big
cool.
deal.
And the thing that I love so much is that SOS 2 has a similar story. In 2013, actually in a lot of tournaments, there's that one player that a lot of people are cheering for. And sometimes they don't make it all the way, and the champion is forgotten. The champion, I mean, Polt for a long time was a forgotten player until his results and consistency brought him back up.
Yeah.
Jaedong was that player in 2013.
Exactly.
SOS won that championship against Jaedong, but then SOS built a full legacy. He was the player that redefined late game Protoss versus Protoss with his really odd early Tempest transitions, sometimes skipping Colossus altogether. And now here, we've seen him today pick his players apart. He has not lost a single map in this entire weekend.
And I really like that point, by the way, because that was, everyone knew SOS was good in that tournament, but no one was really talking about him. It was like the Jaedong kind of coming out party. Even Deer was a big message there as well. And like, SOS just kind of got on that stage, and then it just goes to show what BlizzCon can do for you, because from that point forward, we paid attention to SOS. He won several of the championships in IEM, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we were like, okay, this guy's for real. And it's just so cool that yet again at another BlizzCon, it's like, well, now we know who these guys are. It's not a super mega upset that they're here, although we kind of talked about that because they weren't the year-long champions, but they got into BlizzCon and they turned it on.
It's really crazy that both of them are at such a big tournament again, because StarCraft 2 is such a competitive game. There are so many people who are just crazy good, and then still to crystallize yourself as that player who just repeatedly makes it to those big stages is incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
And both of them are still doing things as well they have been very successful with throughout the entire day of HOTS. Like, SOS, excellent late game, but he's always been a very unpredictable player as well, especially early game. Makes it so hard for Zergs to be ready, and we even still see that today. You know, that's how he won 2013, he's still doing it. And live, we always talk about it, counterattacks, and he's not afraid to switch it up and do crazy stuff early game. And in this tournament, he's doing that again as well.
And a steel spirit as well. He has a steel spirit, the old saying, the old adage.
I gotta say, that is my favorite moment from this entire tournament, was when Life, in the round of 4, was down 1-2 against Classic. It looked like he wasn't gonna do it. In every single match where a player lost momentum, up to that point, they were out. When Innovation started to falter against Life, he crumbled and was gone. To see him regain his composure and pull these brilliant aggressive tactics, I mean, Life really is, I think, the player to see set the pace in this final match.
And it's interesting because I don't disagree with you. We'll leave that to Dario, but like I feel like in that last game even, it just felt like, oh, he's going for a Roachling all in. This is the wrong call. This Protoss is locked up. The back rocks are barely worked on. The natural is buckled in with a cannon that's narrowed in by a SimCity. It should be a really bad move, but he just had, I mean, even in his interview, he's like, oh yeah, I knew I was going to win from there. Like, you know, somebody else could play from that position and win. And we were all like, I still know StarCraft pretty well. Like, but I was so wrong. And it's just so cool to see that kind of tenacity. To your point, he was back, he made the call, committed to it, and it was the right call. And that is so amazing. Because how many times do we see a Zerg that like throws Roachling in and then it starts to not really work and they're like, okay, I'll start droning. And then they just die from that point forward.
I mean, that sort of dedication is what makes these championship level players. Each of them have a championship under their belt. Who will be the first 2-time world champion? Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Then let's kick off the final match of the WCS Global Finals.